Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about, have you ever felt behind in life? Have you ever turned to your friend and felt, wow, they're achieving this milestone and I feel so behind in my 20s or my 30s? Let's talk about that concept today and how to reset it. Hi everyone, I'm Jessica, and I love talking about financial freedom after experiencing burnout early on in my pharmacist career. On this channel, I talk about passive income and simplifying to combat feelings of burnout and stress in your life. I also share openly about my own burnout story, how I reset my own burnout, and how I went on a financial freedom journey with a massive student loan debt. Make sure to watch those videos linked below and get your free resources linked below as well. Let's talk about 3 reasons why we might be feeling behind in life and how to reset these feelings. Reason number 1, comparison. Our life is our life for a reason. Our path forward is unique on its own. It's so much simpler to say those statements than to actually live those statements, right? I've talked about comparison syndrome before on the podcast in episodes 39 and 134. And if you've never delved deeper into why you might be comparing yourself to others and thinking about how comparison is a thief of joy, I do recommend delving deeper into it as we reset these feelings today. When we take a step back and we think about why do we feel behind, a lot of times it's because we have this unrealistic expectation in comparison to someone else's life. And we don't know if we're looking at someone else's life in the beginning, the middle, or the end. It's very similar to when we talk about businesses and small businesses and how they've grown. You have no idea if we're looking at another small business at their beginning stage, their middle stage, or their end and growth stage, right? So comparing ourselves to them is not going to be helpful, right? A lot of times, a lot of people will reach out to me and say they feel so behind in their financial freedom journey because I talk very openly about it on this channel and how we paid off massive student loan debt. But it was a journey for us that took over 6 years, and it didn't start from nowhere. Maybe I didn't share openly about it on the YouTube channel during a lot of the process. I shared after we had paid off a lot of the debt. But at the end of the day, if you're feeling behind because you're watching someone else's YouTube channel or someone else's life, you have to remember, I was at the end of my journey. Maybe you're at the beginning of your journey or the middle of your journey. So comparing someone else's journey to yours is not going to be fruitful. Everyone starts somewhere, and we take these small baby steps every single day to get to the end goal, the end path we have for ourselves. We didn't pay off our student loan debt overnight, and we didn't become debt-free overnight. So remind yourself that it is okay to take a deep breath and be okay in the moment instead of comparing where you're at to someone else. Reason number 2, we might feel behind in life: instant gratification. A lot of times we are not patient enough to see what's going on in our life, patient enough for something to grow and progress in our life. And a lot of times nowadays this could be related to instant gratification. We're really used to that one-click purchase, really used to logging in and putting purchase and having it arrive at our door 24 hours later, right? We have this instant gratification culture nowadays in the United States with a lot of different things. And at the end of the day, that doesn't actually apply to some of the goals we have in life and how we want to live our own lives. When I think about how can I make this simpler in my life, I think back to children and when I was a child as well, and how long did it take to learn how to walk? You know, it didn't happen overnight, right? Many of us as babies learned how to crawl first. Then we learned how to stand up and hold on to an object, maybe the side of a couch, and, scoot along, holding onto something or holding onto someone's hand. And then finally we were able to take our first step, and then maybe we stumbled forward a little bit, but we got back up and worked on it for days to weeks, possibly months of our lives, right? And then finally we were able to, walk on our own, put on our shoes and run around. And that process didn't happen overnight. It wasn't that instant gratification. As children, and as toddlers, we're able to stand back up and try again as we fall down. And I think back to that as an adult now, that sometimes it's hard to do that. Sometimes it's hard to realize that we do need to take that baby step forward, maybe fall down and get back up and keep on going, because we're not behind in life. We're just on a different path in life than someone else. Sometimes babies walk at 9 months, sometimes they walk at 12 months, sometimes 18 months. There's no set number you have to walk at, right? And there's no set number in your life where you have to do something. So stop feeling behind on that journey, and maybe think back to how much you've accomplished before, even back to when you were an infant and toddler learning how to walk. You just might be on the most amazing journey of your life and not ready for the finish line yet. Reason number 3, you might feel behind in life, this internal conflict we have with ourselves. Maybe you feel behind in life because you actually don't know what your life should look like, right? Maybe you've had these different expectations growing up and living through young adulthood and maybe your 20s or 30s, and now you really don't know where life should go and how it should feel. Maybe you had this big plan and it didn't go accordingly while you grew up and progressed through your career and your family life. And that is okay. And it's okay to take a step back and think about where your value statements are. Where's your why statement? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And this is exactly why I talk about the first step of the Burnout Doctor Method, being clarified, having clarity on that, and having clarity that it might change as life changes can be really important and really help you with that internal conflict you might be suffering from right now. And maybe this is from a lack of confidence in yourself and a lack of just knowing yourself. And I know that, I shared very openly that I had that internal conflict, in 2014 and 2015 when I experienced burnout, and it needed a big reset. It needed to resolve that internal conflict for me to move forward. And no, that internal conflict did not change overnight, and I didn't move forward overnight. And dedicating that time to gain clarity on that why and those value statements really helped set me up to make better decisions and to know how to make decisions based on my value statements as well. Overall, it took confidence to realize that my life was my life. It wasn't anyone else's. And yes, maybe when I looked around and saw my friends all, getting married, having kids, buying houses, all these different things, that was great for them. And I celebrated with them, but that wasn't what I wanted in my life at that time. And it wasn't the right step for me to take in my life. And instead I worked on resetting my burnout. And instead I worked on sharing my story and growing my small business and having fun along that journey and connecting with new people. And it maybe wasn't the path I expected to come out of all of this, but it was the best path forward for me. And I hope that being able to share openly about why we feel behind in life and how we can take a deeper step inward to really reset it, reset that internal conflict, that lack of confidence in ourselves, is so deep and so meaningful for the months and years to come in our lives. And I hope that you take this step with me. If you'd like additional resources on how to gain that clarity of your why, your value statements, please reach out. We have one-on-one coaching available or our online courses available, along with our freebies, including our Burnout Starter Kit and Financial Freedom Kits linked below. Until next time, my friends, cultivate joy.